Jesus' teaching as narrated in one of the places in the gospel stories on marriage and divorce. What God has joined together, let no one divide. And I'm always intrigued by how those words fall on us at different moments in our life. I celebrate a wedding, and the bride and groom have chosen for their wedding this gospel, and they can think of nothing more that they would like to offer one another than this forever. They long to speak of a love that will bind them their entire lives. They seek something complete and filled. Or, as we read this gospel this coming Sunday, maybe not holding hands quite as tightly as the couple about to make their vows. Many married couples, some even with some struggle and pain in their marriages, will nod or cringe at these words that seem so long and so final in the face of today's struggle. And I'm always conscious when we bring this gospel to our Sunday congregation of those who, despite their very best efforts, find themselves alone after a marriage has failed. And the pain of that reality, coupled with the pain of having somehow not fulfilled this commandment, can be seen oftentimes on the faces of our brothers and sisters. And it's one gospel and one story. I would suggest that Jesus isn't teaching about marriage and divorce. The question, maybe asked to trap him, was about marriage and divorce. But his teaching is about love. And there's something in our experience of his words that speaks to the truth of love in our lives. That young couple holding tightly to one another, about to plunge off a cliff of commitment. Their love is real, and yet they don't necessarily understand yet, in practice, the disappointment that their limitations will bring. And in the course of marriage, maybe one of the most important duties that husbands and wives have to one another is to console one another for the unavoidable disappointment that they will bring in love. The couples struggling, maybe very successfully and with great joy and great peace and great love, but struggling with the reality of those limitations as they live out their lives, maybe come to find that while our hearts are still open to the infinite, while we still long for and claim forever, our abilities are limited and finite. And we hurt and we disappoint. But that hurting and disappointing doesn't mean that love is not present. It means that those who love imperfectly. And this call of our hearts is still open to an infinite love. And maybe couples learn along this road that it's not just their own love that they give each other, that their own love is maybe even too small. But they find in this love a sign, a concrete sign of something larger, of something greater, of a grace beyond even what husband and wife bring to the table. That maybe they find, just like every other sacrament that we celebrate in our church, their love brings something of God's love. That their love brings something of God's grace. And that they can find in the love that they give and in the love that they receive something tangible and knowable and fulfilling of that great and infinite love that our hearts long for. And even for those who, with broken hearts, maybe even healing broken spirits, acknowledge that what they hoped would be a love to express the infinite, the Father's love, was not. Jesus, because he was teaching about love, calls the children to himself and blesses them and says that if we are to encounter the Father's love, we should do so as children. And that even in a hard lesson like this, what matters most isn't our ability, our capacity, our greatness, even our wholeness. What matters most is the Father's love and our ability as children to be able to accept, to receive, to find, to long for, and ultimately to be blessed by that love as children so readily are.